Okay. Thank you for being in attendance, those of you who are here. We appreciate your time. Just some brief introductions real quick. My name is Jacob DeWitt. I am a client experience liaison with Assembla. One of my co-presenters will be Nadia Romano. She's joining us from beautiful Argentina this afternoon. So I hope all of you are having a lovely day. I am not. The weather where I am is terrible. But we're going to go ahead and talk about some Assembla stuff. To begin with, just to kind of lay out our reason for doing this for our new users, one of the beautiful things about the Assembla solution is that it strives to maintain a balance between ease of use and flexibility. So many of our streamlined features are readily apparent to new users, but we do have some features that we want to exhibit to our new users that are a little bit less obvious, some of the ones that are easier to miss. But are very powerful and very useful for customizing workflow, task management, and team collaboration efforts. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've had a couple more people ping in. Just as a reminder to them, the session is being recorded, and we are going to have a Q&A when we're all finished here. So I'm going to begin by showcasing one of our most popular tools, the ticket system. The ticket system is vital for a lot of teams trying to customize their own unique processes and trying to build out tasks for team collaboration and task management. So when we look at the ticket system here, if you go to generate a new ticket, you'll notice that on the left margin of the ticket, where you can enter a title and a summary, just to the left of that are these various fields. And these different fields, they allow you to provide a lot of upfront information about the purpose of the ticket, who's going to be working it, etc. So if we want to create a ticket here, we're just going to call it Let's Bake a Cake. And we're going to say that the description of this is to gather ingredients for the cake. Now if you look over here to the left, you can pull up the list of team members that you have on this project in this space so that you can assign it, or you can click this automatically populated button here, which just assigns it to yourself, and then you can go ahead and set the milestone. We're going to set this as a current task that we want to work on. And these are pretty obvious, but what's really important and what's really powerful about this system is the ability to create these custom fields. So you see one that we've already created in advance, this tester field. And this field allows you to list essentially who would be the tester for this ticket to make sure that, for example, the cake tastes good. So that's a field that we already created. But what we're going to go ahead and do, we'll create the ticket, and we're going to show you how you can create your own additional custom fields. And so once you're within the ticket tab, you go down to the sub-tab here for settings. And this is something a lot of our clients like to do. You can go to ticket fields, and this is where you can create your own. So you can come down here. This is, again, the custom field that was already created. But when you go to create a new custom field, we can name it bake date, for example. There are all these different types. So if you go to team list, for example, that custom field is going to automatically have everyone populated that's in your space, all your team members. Or you can do something like date, time. Since this is going to be kind of a deadline space, we're just going to go ahead and put in date. You can also check to make sure that this is a required space. So now when you return to that ticket, you can go to your ticket list, and we can pull up the ticket that we created, which should be in current, which is right here, because that's the milestone that we set it to. And you see it here. There's this custom field now, bake date, which is where we can go to this calendar and we can say when we want to have that baked. And then our tester, since I've assigned the task to myself, I can make it me or I can make it somebody else. So I'm going to go ahead and make it our friend Jeff Carl, who's also on this call with us. He'll be available to possibly answer some questions if I don't run over too long. So you can kind of see here it's already tracking the activity of what we've done. So those are some custom fields within the tickets, how you assign it, how you set your milestone. Another powerful function within the tickets tool is your ability to ping or @mention group members, fellow colleagues. So if I want to add a comment to this ticket that says, need some brown sugar, I can @mention, for starters, myself, and I can also @mention my team, so for example the developer team, and mention colleagues, so for example Nadia Romano, who's also on this call. And what this does, once you've submitted this, up in the interface, anyone that's using the Assembla system that gets @mentioned, they have this little red box up here, and when they check on that they can see their recent mentions. So this is already posted into the system up here, this @mentioned. So that's just one way of delivering a notification to relevant personnel, trying to keep everybody connected in a very real-time sort of way. So now we're also going to show you some label customization so that when you do these mentions, for example this @developer mention, we're going to show you how you can be more inclusive or more exclusive for that. If you go to the Team tab up here, this is where you can look at all the team members you currently have in your project, but you'll notice on the far right they have different labels depending on what group they're in. And from here you can edit that. So you can go to the sample developer we have here, and we can edit this person and we can say that they are a developer. By clicking OK on that, we've now assigned our sample developer to the developer group. So if I had @mentioned the developer group with that message, she would now receive that because she's now a member of the developer team. You can also @mention @team, and that'll address everybody. That'll notify everybody in the team regardless of their label or role. This is also a space where you can promote people to different permissions. You see these up and down arrows. You can remove users altogether from the team from here. So this is also good from a management perspective. It's very streamlined. So if I want to take this sample developer, for example, I can promote this person, the sample developer, up to a project owner, which gives her more authority. It also gives her more usability in certain tools of the system. So now that we've gone through some of the labels, we're also going to talk about an additional notification type, which is via email. So for people that don't want to use @mentions and they like to check their inbox more frequently than their Assembla system, you can go to Stream, which, as it implies, is a tool. It's a location where you can stream activity and you can have it distributed to relevant team members. From here you can go to Email Notifications, the sub-tab right here, and then this is where you can customize what sorts of notifications you receive and how you receive them. So for example, we just had a message that we posted onto that ticket, and so we can decide for any given person when they receive alerts for those messages. We can have them receive an email automatically whenever an event takes place. They can choose to have an hourly or a daily summary, or never. For example, you may have some people in a marketing space that are going to be responsible for tracking tickets, maybe files, maybe the wiki, but they're not going to be immediately or directly involved in code commits. So we could put never for them, and that person would not ever receive any emails related to commits in a code branch. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go back to tickets. We're going to talk a little bit more about task management and the way you can use the ticketing system to administer different management protocols. So right now what we've looked at so far is just the list of tickets, which are filtered by the milestone they've been assigned, those with no milestone, current, etc. And you can also customize these fields depending on how many categories you want. But another way of viewing these tickets is to go to what's called the card wall. And now within the card wall you can see the various tickets in terms of the stage that they're in. So CardWall provides clarity for team collaboration purposes. It shows who's working on what, which stage everything is in. But the other unique advantage to looking at it from the CardWall perspective is that everything is sorted and color-coded by priority. So for example, if I want to go over here to this very top one, we can go to priority and we can set it to the highest priority, and you'll see that its color changes. Now if someone's looking at this card wall and they decide that they have something in priority over something else that should be of equal importance, you can select a different ticket and you can just drag it right up and it'll automatically match that color, showing that it's the same priority. So you can do these vertical shifts, your tickets. In addition to that, there's another sort of thing you can do here. It's just kind of a click and drag, because there are different custom categories for what's going on with a ticket. So these are the new tickets. If we want to show that someone has accepted that task, this add login with Google, for example, you can grab it and you can move it over here to accepted. So the next thing we're going to show is how you can customize this card wall space. So right now you'll see these are the open categories for tickets that are being worked on: new, accepted, and test. If you click this arrow over here on the right, it opens up any categories that we've created that are considered closed. So for example, something that's been tested, we could say, well, we don't actually need to add a login with Facebook. Perhaps that's already been done. It's no longer relevant. We can say that that's invalid. Or if we're having an issue and it's been fixed, we can move it over here to fixed. So this is a very streamlined, easy-to-use system, which a lot of our users are already aware of. But what we're going to show is how you can customize that a little bit. So we're going to go to Settings, and again, this is still within Tickets. And this is the same sub-tab where we found ticket fields earlier, where we found that ability to customize ticket fields. You can also customize the workflow for the card wall. So you click on Status and Workflow. And again, these are the keys we already saw. The 3 categories that are readily visible are the open categories. The 2 that are hidden by that arrow are the closed categories. So we can add one. Say we want to let mom know whenever we do something successfully. We can create that as an open status. So now when we return back to our card wall, we're going to see a new category over here to the right. So after something's been tested, it's been moved to accepted, test, we can move it over here. So that's one way that you can customize some of your workflow and task managements. So now what we're going to do is get into some of the administrative stuff, how you can manage permissions, not only for your team but also for your clients. A lot of people use our system to exhibit things directly to their customers, especially some of the marketing firms and service providers that we work with. So once you go into the administrative tab, you can customize permissions by going down and clicking on Security. And once you click on Security, you can go down here and you can look at the various tools that you have loaded up. And all these tools that you see here, if you go back to the top, those are the tools that you currently have up on your main tab menu. And we'll show you in just a minute how you can add and remove tools from this bar. Depending on the project that you're on, you may not need all of this. You may need Subversion code. You may have something very simple where it's just tickets for task management, maybe files, messages, and a wiki. But whatever tools you have up there, you'll see down here. And from here, you can edit the team member access and watcher access. So typically, these are the people that are actually working with you. These are your colleagues within a group for a project, and these are oftentimes clients. So for example, if we want to give our clients only the ability to add and comment on tickets and nothing else, we would go down here to Tickets, and we would give them the ability to view, and then we could set everything else to none. And some of these can also give our clients the ability to edit, for example, the messages and milestones, but they wouldn't have any visibility on anything you don't want them to. And then within the team, you can decide who's allowed to edit, for example, get code, or you can just set it to view. And so from here you can manage these permissions, which again is very powerful from a team management standpoint. Okay, now we're going to show another administrative task, again still within the admin tool. And from the admin tool you can also add and remove tools. This is what I alluded to a moment ago, where all of these tabs you see up here on the top right now, those were essentially pre-decided. You get to customize exactly what that looks like, what's available and what isn't. So the same way you clicked on Security to manage permissions, you just click on Tools to add or remove. And again here on the right margin, it's showing you which tools you already have in place. You can customize the settings for individual tools, or you can remove a tool in its entirety. And then from here you can also add tools. So we're going to go all the way down to something we don't have in a different category. We'll add the snippets tool. Now after having done that, you'll notice that it immediately posts a tab for the snippets tool up here on your main menu. So you can then go to that immediately without delay. And if you've decided that you added a tool unintentionally, or it's a tool that's no longer necessary for the purposes of the project you're on, you can remove it just as easily as you added it. So you can come up here, click delete. It'll make sure that you want to do this because once you've deleted something, all the information that it was containing is also gone. So you want to be very careful, especially if you're removing a code repository. Now, for our users that are trying to implement tools that they're unfamiliar with, we also have instructional guides that are inherent with this system, specifically with the in-app instructions for repo tools, for code repository tools. So for example, we'll go to the Subversion tool, and say you have some developers on your team who aren't as familiar with Subversion as the management. They can go here, and from within here, within the Subversion tool, they can go down to the sub-tab for instructions. And this is where they can get full instructional guides depending on the operating system they're using. Shows how to update tickets. So you have these resources available to you from within the system. Another tool that has an instructional guide, which is very popular with us, is the wiki tool. And from within this wiki tool, you can scroll down if you create a new page or edit an existing page. So let's say we want to create a new page. You can scroll down and you can see all these protocols for linking wiki pages to other various objects, like tickets, for example. So if you want the ability to link wiki pages to another object, this gives you a brief instructional guide on how to do that. Okay, so now we're going to move to some of the external resources that we have that exist outside of the system. First and foremost, I'm going to show you our blog. Obviously, you're welcome to copy this web address up here. And this blog is where we invite our users to explore articles about new features and other Assembla news as it comes across. So this is a way to stay current with our system, with the things that we're adding. Here's an example right here. This is a new type of notification we've added. And you would notice if you read through it that this enables people to basically use an app mention as we talked about before, but by adding an point at the end of it, it automatically sends an email to that user as well, using the email address they registered within the system. So it's essentially employing two types of notifications simultaneously. Another resource that we're going to offer up is continuousagile.com. This is actually something our CEO created. It's a detailed guide for implementing Assembla to enhance Agile development. So it essentially shows you how you can utilize the tools that we've created at Assembla to cultivate more frequent release and also understand some of the inherent changes to team culture that's going to entail. So there are several chapters. This is actually a very, very involved resource, and it's free to view. So I would certainly recommend that you take a look at this. And again, we've got the address up there. I'll wait a second so people can copy that down. And if anybody misses it, we're going to get to questions here very shortly. So they're welcome to ask for us to put that into the question and answer panel. And then finally, because we never want our precious clients to feel ignored, here is our support center. So that's another web address worth recording. Gives you access to our help desk. It's got lists of facts and articles and things like that for you to peruse at your leisure. Most of the commonly asked questions we have are answered here in the support center. And this is also a pretty involved resource. It's very, very detailed.